He's as dangerous with a microphone as I am, I'll tell you what. Thank you, Hallerin. It's great. It's an honor to have you as part of tonight's festivities. And for those of you that didn't catch the introductions earlier, Hallerin and his whole family are now officially part of Maryville College because Hallie is a sophomore here. And so will Hallerin, Nidra, and Hallie stand up so we can all recognize you. Thank you. And I know because it's a Maryville College crowd, everyone's been attentively following the program. Some people might have even read ahead. But you'll notice that I'm kicking off the Capitol celebration part of the evening. For a lot of us, though, the celebration started around 5:30 this afternoon when we opened the doors to Anderson Hall and got a chance to walk through that almost finished building. How do you like what we've done with the place? It is hard to believe, especially for some of us that have lived through it on a daily basis, that it has been less than 18 months. We basically took the interior, well, we didn't basically, we took the interior all the way down to the supporting structure and then constructed an entirely new 21st century inside that beautiful 19th century frame. And so what's really impressive is that we've been able to maintain that historic integrity of the building and protect features that made Anderson Hall so beloved to so many. There are wide open staircases, various styles of window, arched entryways, high ceilings, intelligent use of natural materials, and access to the bell tower, so that our victories and celebrations can be proclaimed and shared to all of the surrounding community. Anderson Hall was constructed in 1869 and 1870 for about $25,000. Our 2013-14 renovation has clocked in at just over $7.5 million. That's a big number. I don't think that the Maryville College leaders of that period right after the Civil War would have anticipated a number like that. Neither would they have anticipated some of the features that we have added to Anderson Hall. Central air conditioning, electric power. I didn't stop for that. It says for laptop computers, but just electric power. Wireless internet access, high-definition screens, an elevator, a sprinkler system, a security system, flexible classroom designs, 30 faculty offices, and a beautiful tiered outdoor classroom. They probably would have been amazed, too, at an expanded basement that actually allows for storage, a faculty lounge, and restrooms. Some people here have been in the basement before it was renovated. It's different. It's not so scary. Now, we have to recognize and give thanks to earlier leaders' vision for Anderson. I'm so thrilled that tonight two of my predecessors as president are here with us. We have to give thanks for the craftsmanship of the original builders and for the physical plant staff that maintained the building for so many years. If it were not so well constructed and had not been so well loved, we would not be able to celebrate the renovation of Anderson Hall now 144 years after its opening. Believe it or not, this isn't the biggest celebration. Please mark your calendars. Thursday, May 14th, we will rededicate our campus icon. You're all invited. So as we enter the home stretch of completing the building, I cannot adequately express my excitement for what a renovated Anderson Hall means to this college. And I can't adequately express my appreciation to all of you who have made it happen. Several weeks ago, we announced record enrollment here at the college. There are over 1,200 students attending classes at the college this semester. So you can only imagine how nice it will be to have that 25,500 square feet of academic space back. One of our strategic plan goals is to grow that enrollment further to around 1,300. And to do that before our bicentennial in 2019. Anderson is critical to our success. Well-designed, well-maintained, and well-equipped buildings help us to recruit new students and retain through graduation the ones that we have. Facilities do matter in education. They inspire faculty and student work. I'm going to go off script here for a second. The third floor of Anderson Hall was too hot to work in. And so faculty had to go someplace else, which means the students had to find them. I see the students and faculty nodding their heads. Now it's air-conditioned, nice space. The faculty are there, the students are there, they can all find each other, it's great. You know, that's what it's about. So that great space complements and encourages those meaningful faculty-student interactions that have always been the hallmark of Maryville College and are especially central now with the new Maryville College Works program. Despite the physical challenges inherited in an old building, our Anderson Hall faculty members have been delivering a top-notch education for decades. And as a result, Maryville College's name continues to show up on lists of nationally ranked colleges. So this fall, among others, we've been recognized by U.S. News and World Report, Forbes, Washington Monthly, the Princeton Review, and Colleges of Distinction. And this summer, and this is one I'm especially proud of, 2 of the college's teacher preparation programs were ranked among the very best in the nation in a report released by the National Council on Teacher Quality. Our teacher education program calls Anderson home. Facilities, in addition to being important for education, help tell our story. They remind us of where we've been and of the values that we hold. Since the day that we announced plans for the interior renovation of Anderson, I have stated that the project really reflects our overall approach to education. We take our strong 19th century foundation and create a state-of-the-art 21st century educational space, educational environment. I know that you believe in this approach. Whether you gave to the Anderson Hall renovation, whether you give to the Maryville Fund, or a scholarship fund, or athletics, or Sutton Science Center, you're helping us to build that 21st century educational environment. And on behalf of students, faculty, and staff, it is my privilege to thank you. At your table tonight are copies of the President's Report. Hundreds of names are printed in this publication. Alumni, parents, board members, friends, businesses, organizations, churches, faculty, and staff. All of them joining us to build this 21st century environment. They're your names. And there would be no celebration tonight if it weren't for you. I'm pleased to say the name and photo of this next speaker can be found in the President's Report, for those of you who read ahead. Dr. Sam Overstreet is a native of Louisville, Kentucky, who has earned degrees at Yale and Cornell. Member of Phi Beta Kappa and an active medieval textual scholar. His teaching interests include Chaucer, early Western literature, and history of the English language. Yes, the liberal arts are alive and well at Maryville College. He joined the Maryville College faculty in 1990 and is currently professor of English and chair of the Division of Languages and Literature. That's the 3rd floor. In 2005, he added another title. He is the holder of the Ralph S. Collins Professorship of the Humanities. It's my privilege now to welcome Dr. Sam Overstreet to the microphone. Sam.
I am the grateful beneficiary of the generosity of the college's benefactors in 2 specific ways that I want to comment on a little bit tonight. One of those is symbolized by this pink flamingo nun, and thereby hangs the tail. But those 2 ways, I'm indebted to benefactors for scholarship and for teaching. And I have the privilege of holding the Ralph S. Collins Chair in Humanities, which, in addition to paying part of my salary, provides a stipend for scholarly expenses during the year. And it has been a wonderful privilege to which I actively try to live up, to make good use of those resources for the scholarship in which I'm engaged. The main project being an electronic edition of one manuscript of the 14th century poem, Pierce Plum, a 22-chapter allegorical dream vision. If you find a picture of me in the President's Report, you will see on the screen of my laptop a beautiful digital image of one of the more interesting pages of that manuscript. The digital images will be part of the edition, which will be available online when I get it finished. It should have been finished by now, but maybe soon. And the Collins Endowment paid half the price with matching funds from the National Endowment for the Humanities for those digital images to be made by the British Library, the owners of the manuscript. It's a wonderful resource because users can go online and can see the manuscript in just about as good detail as if they were holding it in their own hands. And in some cases, because you can adjust the contrast and the brightness of the computer image, it may actually be easier to read some of the faded marginalia in that manuscript on the digital image than it would be if you were holding it in your own hand. That's a wonderful thing that the generosity of the Steffi family has made possible. And it's my privilege to work on that. But I also have taught for a long time at Anderson Hall and have, of course, fond memories, as most of you probably do, of the wonderful relationships, the wonderful teaching opportunities that have gone on in that place and that will continue to go on in that place because of the generosity of the college's benefactors. And to illustrate that, I want to just talk about some of, well, one set of my fondest Anderson Hall memories. You know, anytime you renovate a building, you lose some things and you gain some things. Among the things that we lose are the creakiness of the floors, which has a kind of charm, and the waviness of the glass that was installed in the windows in the 19th century, which, as glass will do, has been flowing downward for, a century or so. We're going to have new windows. There's a loss in some of the historic charm, but of course there's a gain in the fact that the windows will keep out the cold in January to a point that we will actually be able to work in our offices, and that's a great thing. And we expect that the plaster will not fall down in the new Anderson as it was starting to fall down in the old, and that's a good thing if you're concerned for the safety of your students. But a better example of why Anderson Hall is such a cherished learning space is this story. From about 1999 to about 2007, I convened weekly a little discussion group that we called the Dead Theologian Society, named after the Dead Poets Society, of course. And we would read every week a chapter or so from a good book written by a Christian author of times past. The author had to be dead. And to make sure that we were getting the classics of good Christian writing. And one week we were gathered for our discussion, and I've forgotten how we got to this topic. It may have been something in connection with Flannery O'Connor. Somebody mentioned life in the trailer park in the South. And in connection with that, someone mentioned pink flamingos. And I shuddered. And the students involved in the discussion were so amused by my reaction to the mere mention of plastic pink flamingos that a week or two later, in my front yard, appeared 9 of them when I woke up on a Tuesday morning and 1 in the backyard. And that was not the end. Shortly after that, there appeared outside my second floor Anderson office window, suspended from over the roof of Anderson Hall on a fishing line, a pink flamingo, with a pile of synthetic pink flamingo feathers on the ground below it. And more than that, a short while after that, I arrived at my office in the morning. In fact, there was on a bookshelf that I didn't use much, an old lamp that didn't have a shade. And I unlocked my office door and arrived and saw in the lamp that I hadn't been using a spherical bulb with a pink flamingo filament. And behind it, a palm tree part of the filament, which when turned on, the pink flamingo would glow pink and the palm tree would glow green. And underneath the lamp, a little slip of paper with a quotation from a Shakespearean sonnet, a line that originally referred to love, but in this case clearly referred to the pink flamingo. Oh no, it is an ever-fixed mark that looks on tempests and is never shaken. No, and of course I asked the students about this, and they disclaimed having any knowledge of any such phenomena whatsoever, and most of them were in my Chaucer class at the time. While they were taking a Chaucer quiz, I wrote up a line on the blackboard, something like, as the swallows return to San Juan Capistrano, so the flamingos return to the home of Overstreet, to see if I could get a rise out of them when they looked up from taking their quiz, but oh, they were cool. Well, there appeared outside my office in my home for the next year or so, various pink flamingo manifestations. There was a Beowulf pink flamingo, a Dante pink flamingo, a Shakespeare pink flamingo. At the time, during the week in which in Humanities 201 we were discussing Freudian literary criticism, there appeared outside my office a couch with a Freud pink flamingo and a patient pink flamingo. And so the latest manifestation, long after these students had graduated, one of them had gotten married, and I had brought back all the flamingos that I had in my possession, dressed two of them up as bride and groom pink flamingos, and arrayed them with their flamingo attendants at the entrance to the reception, which was a dire mistake, because the bride, who was the ringleader of the pink flamingo gang, loved them, took them all with her, and that simply meant that she had plenty of ammunition to continue to besiege me with pink flamingos. A little while later, the Dead Theologian Society was still meeting on a Tuesday evening, and Teresa and her former roommate, Amy, were going to be in town. They asked if they could just stop by and participate in the discussion, which they did. We were delighted. We were reading Julian of Norwich's Revelations of Divine Love. And in the middle of the discussion, I looked up. This was in Anderson in the lounge, the Humanities lounge. I looked up, and there on the end table, next to the sofa, where students were sitting, where there had not been anything before, there was the Julian of Norwich, pink flamingo, gracing our discussion. So I keep Julian partly as a memory of very fond relationships, and partly so as not to give Teresa any more ammunition for pink flamingos. But it reminds me of something from the college's statement of purpose, which I want to read. Maryville College is, in essence, a community for learning. The faculty is a group of scholars committed to the preservation and advancement of knowledge, emphasizes effective teaching, and encourages supportive relationships with students. The students are challenged to grow in academic competence, personal and social maturity, and spiritual discernment and commitment. In such an atmosphere of openness and caring, lasting friendships are formed. And you can bet that among my most cherished memories of this place are the times, the minutes and the hours that I spent in my office talking with the students who were members of the Pink Flamingo Gang about academics, about life, about faith, about important things. And that the friendships that continue between me and those wonderful students are among the richest friendships of my life. So that's the shape of the gratitude that I want to express for the gifts that make possible, the gifts that have contributed to the building of the walls of this beloved, hallowed academy. This place, you know, the walls that are physical, the Anderson Hall walls that will be the offices and classes where those wonderful things happen, and the abstract, metaphorical walls of things like an endowed professorship that enable the scholarship and the teaching to be carried forth with excellence and with an impact that will last for years and centuries and maybe on into eternity.
Dr. Samuel Overstreet, let's give him another big round of applause. I would like to invite Maryville College alumna and Anderson Hall donor, Mrs. Janet Helwig Fortney, to the stage. Janet currently serves on the Maryville College Alumni Association Board and chairs the Educational Programs Committee.
Good evening. Can you hear me? Okay. My name is Janet Fortney, and I graduated from the college 32 years ago with the outstanding class of 1982. Even though much of my time as a mathematics major was spent in the classrooms of Sutton Science Center, I nonetheless have strong and very vivid memories from my experiences in Anderson Hall. My parents, Jean Kemper Helwig, class of 1956, and David Helwig, class of 1953, also still maintain very warm and very strong memories of Anderson almost 60 years after they were students here. My mother's earliest memories of Anderson are from 1953, when she talked about climbing those many steps up to the 3rd floor for an English class taught by an outstanding professor named Elizabeth Jackson. My mother also spoke of struggling with learning German in Anderson Hall with Professor Reber, whom she has never forgotten, although she most certainly has forgotten all German she ever learned. My father speaks fondly of a Bible class taught by David Engelhardt. My father also told me just this week of how the view of the Anderson Hall bell tower still evokes feelings now, at the age of 86, that are just as strong as how he felt as a young World War II veteran in the early 1950s. Among my own sharpest memories of Anderson Hall are a religion class with Dr. David Cartledge. It was in that class that I learned just how wide the spectrum of religious beliefs is among the students at Maryville. Before coming here to college, I had thought that religious diversity referred to a great ongoing divisions and schisms within the Presbyterian Church. In my abundant ignorance, I thought that a group of believers of diverse views meant a group of students, including someone from the PCA, the PCUSA, the Orthodox Presbyterian Church, the Reformed Presbyterian Church, the Evangelical Presbyterian Church, and goodness knows what other splinter groups have now emerged. It was in Anderson that I learned how wrong I was. Diversity of religious belief didn't just mean a diversity of Presbyterians, but a range of religious beliefs, including, to my amazement at the time, no beliefs at all. What an eye-opener that was, up there on the 3rd floor in the heat of Anderson Hall. How little I had known. Yes, my education at MC was beginning to open my eyes. I have 2 other strong Anderson Hall memories that I'd like to share with you. One was a lesson in the importance of good manners that I received from Dr. Elizabeth Fowler. This lesson was delivered to me in deadly quiet and firm, but extremely caring tone, in response to my having been unpardonably late for a class at which there was a guest speaker from outside the college. I was mortified that my tardiness had not only disappointed Dr. Fowler, but I had not represented MC students well in the eyes of this guest speaker. As I said, many important lessons in Anderson Hall. I'm forever indebted to Dr. Fowler for teaching me not only that lesson, but other lessons of enormous importance about the English language. My other very sharp memory, beautiful memory of sorts from Anderson Hall, is a meeting I had in Dr. Blair's office, to which I had been called to discuss a paper I had submitted which had been deemed subpar. I can hear beloved Dr. Blair's words right now. It went something like this. Janet, I hear that you can do some relatively decent mathematics over there in Sutton Science Center. But over here in Anderson, we expect people to write well. My error was egregious. It was a comma splice. Another very important lesson learned. Comma splices must not occur. Anderson Hall is a building in which so many people have learned so many lessons, large and small. I learned about religious diversity. I learned the importance of manners, of being on time. My mother tried to learn German. And my father, and I can certainly attest to this, did indeed learn a great deal about the Bible from Professor Engelhardt. Anderson is a treasured icon, but icons need refurbishing. They need updating so that today's Maryville professors in this age of technology can deliver the best possible instruction. I've been a teacher of mathematics and statistics for 25 years, and I can assure you that today's students and professors, they need smart boards. They need extensive computer technology. They need elevators. They need internet access at all times. And most importantly, they need to avoid comma splices. With modern teaching and learning tools, Maryville's professors today will be able to continue delivering some of the most life-changing lessons that my parents and I and my classmates and many, many of the people gathered here tonight were so privileged to learn during their years at Maryville and Anderson Hall. Most important of all, the professors in the beautiful old building showed by example that a life of intellectual engagement is a fascinating life, and that the foundation of a Maryville education is the basis of lifelong learning. My professors made me want to be better than I was. Their example made me want to live wisely, to make decisions based on logic, principle, and sound judgment. May God bless this beautiful, old, and wonderfully refurbished building, and the students who learn in it, and the professors who teach in it, regardless of which brand of Presbyterianism, or none, that they may adhere to. I'm grateful to the many of you in this gathering who have so generously given so as to make Anderson Hall renovation possible. I'm very grateful, my parents are grateful, my classmates are grateful, and the students and the faculty of this fine college will be grateful for decades and decades to come. Thank you.
And just an additional word on comma splicing. If you are writing a check, you may splice as many as you like. From the graduating class of 2015 and majoring in philosophy, please welcome Mr. Paul Earheart-Brown.
Good evening, everybody. That's bright. I don't know how you're doing this. Well, like Mr. Hill said, my name is Paul, and I'm a senior philosophy major. And right now, I fully intend to go to seminary next year, pursue ordination in the Cumberland Presbyterian Church, if you're talking about splintering. So please forgive me if I try and have a little church up in here tonight. So after Moses died, the book of Joshua tells how God commanded Joshua to gather his people and cross the river Jordan. And God said to Moses, "My servant Moses is dead. Now proceed to cross the Jordan, you and all this people, into the land that I am giving them, to the Israelites. Every place that the sole of your foot will tread upon, I have given you, as I promised Moses. From the wilderness and the Lebanon, as far as the great river, the river Euphrates, all the land of the Hittites to the great sea in the west shall be your territory. No one shall be able to stand against you all the days of your life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with you. I will not fail or forsake you. I hereby command you, be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened or dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." Now, I'd imagine many freshmen need to hear something as encouraging as that before moving into college for their freshman year, especially if it's a brand new place like I had. But for whatever reason, 17-year-old Paul really didn't need that. I thought I was pretty good, and I think I still am pretty good at being pretty content wherever I am with whatever situation I come across. And I immediately bonded with my orientation group. I'm still close with many of them today. I got involved on campus with several different organizations. And I've loved working with and stayed devoted to them for all 4 years. I got close with some staff members who I ended up working for and with my entire college career. So for me, the transition into college was just easier than most, except when it came to choosing my major. I came to Maryville College as a philosophy major. And I wish that I could tell you that I'm a philosophy major today, because I was one of the very few people who came to college and did not change their major. But that's not the case at all. I actually, my sophomore year, which was the year before Anderson Hall went under renovation, I decided to give up my humanities major for an exercise science major, a brand new, flashy, physical therapy-driven major. So I spent the year before Anderson went in under renovation in the lovely and gorgeous Sutton Science Center. And I am very sorry that I missed out that time on Anderson Hall. Because for the last year,
After I came back to the humanities, we have been, like the Israelites, a displaced people. All over Fairweather, Sutton. I had a Modern Critiques of Religion course with Dr. Irvin in Cooper with all kinds of diagrams and of the human body, anatomy, wonderful, a nice skeleton that had all the bones for you. It was a very interesting time, but I have missed Anderson dearly. So I thought that was going to be a good path for me. Exercise, science, physical therapy, I enjoyed it. But slowly but surely, I found something out about myself, and that's that I really hate science. I hate it. Everything about it, from the labs to the lectures. I don't get it, it's not fun, I don't like it at all. And I applaud those of you who have decided to take science on in any kind of way as something that you want to do professionally. But it was not for me. So I ran back to the humanities with my tail between my legs to rejoin the ranks of the philosophy majors. And now I know that I am very comfortable there and very happy with what I've decided. And I really cannot express how happy I am that I will get to experience next semester in the brand new Anderson Hall. Something, I've been in student government for 4 years now, and something that I've learned is that if you want change to happen, you pretty much have to accept the fact that you're not going to see it. Because in order to get it rolling, I see Dean Kemp nodding her head, in order to get it rolling, in order to get things done, there's a long process, so by the time that actual change happens, you're probably going to be gone. Which makes me so happy that I will be able to be back next semester in Anderson Hall. I actually don't have a lot of specific memories of Anderson Hall, except for that one time a live bird flew into class, into Dr. Meyer's class with us, and stayed the entire time. We spent about 20 minutes trying to get it out, and then we just gave up and continued to have class with the bird in there with us. But what I do remember about Anderson, what has truly stuck with me is that warmth, that intellectual desire that I felt whenever I'd walk into Dr. Meyer's philosophy of nature and science class, for instance, which was a killer. Or Dr. Irvin's Bib 140 class. So I'm so thankful to Dr. Meyer, to Dr. Irvin, to Dr. Sherman, and to all those other people who have influenced my time here in the humanities. But before I go, one more thing I want to do. I'd like to share 3 things that I've learned here at Maryville College through my time in Anderson Hall and out of it in Cooper. Why not? Number 1, you can get a lot further by being nice than by being anything else. Reverend Fred Rogers once said, if you remember Mr. Rogers, there are 3 ways to ultimate success. The first way is to be kind. The second way is to be kind. And the third way is to be kind. One of the biggest things that I've realized in my time here is that I've been way too hard on people. I've missed out on some amazing opportunities to get to know people, and I'm sorry for that. But through kindness and just through being nice to people, I've seen those relationships healed, and I've learned a lot of love and compassion for those around me. Number 2, you never know how much influence you have over those around you. Unfortunately, this one is good and bad. I've seen close friends of mine crumble under the pressure to engage in self-destructive behavior just out of the desire to be accepted and loved. But I've also seen great people understand this principle and use their influence to help someone get their life back on track. It's amazing how the positive influence of those around you can change your entire outlook on things. I know because I've had it happen in my life. People like Donald Rucker and Keelan Myers and Loudon Young, Kelly Shipp, and countless others who told me that I should get involved on campus. And because of it, I could not have asked for a better college experience. Now it's my job to do the same for someone else. Number 3, you have to have some grace for yourself. I've always been really bad about beating myself up for the smallest things, and I'd love to say that I'm totally over that, but I'm not. Sorry. It's amazing to me how much grace and forgiveness people can have for other people, but not for themselves. And as a senior now, I don't make the same mistakes I did as a freshman, but God knows I still make plenty of mistakes. And if I simply sit and wallow in my own self-loathing, I will never be the person I can be. Instead, I've learned that with every mistake comes an opportunity to grow, and while I may still be inconsolable after losing any kind of intramural game, which I have not done yet this year. I've definitely learned to embrace grace in my life and in the lives of others. So freshman Paul may not have needed to hear words of encouragement, but in all honesty, senior Paul does. I definitely don't want to leave this place and all the amazing relationships I've made here. But I know that God is calling me to do His work out in the world and in new and different ways that I've never experienced. Senior year just started, and while I really haven't learned a whole lot yet this year, I have heard God speaking loudly and clearly to me through people like Dean Vandy Kemp, Dean Allison Norris, Ben Wicker, Kristen Gorley, Asia Rodriguez, Reverend Ann McKee, and countless others, saying, Paul, now it's time for you to cross the Jordan, you and all those amazing seniors, into the lives that I am giving you. Every place the sole of your foot will tread, I will be with you, as I promised Moses. From the wilderness of Maryville in East Tennessee, thank you for getting me, as far as the great river, the River Mississippi, all the lands of the Tennesseans, the Georgians, the Alabamans, the Kentuckians, and all others, no one shall stand against you. As I was with Moses, so will I be with you, Paul. I will not fail you or forsake you. And so I hereby command you, be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened or dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. I could not be more thankful for all of your gracious donations and contributions. If you ever wonder if you've made a difference in even one life, you have in mine. Thank you so much, and God bless you.